Good afternoon, folks, or good evening, shall I say. Now, I had to make this video because it was inspired by a video I've just watched, and it struck a very, very deep, strong chord with myself. And I would like to help others either avoid the path that I was on or help those who are in the situation that I was in. Anyway, so what am I talking about? Well, first of all, I will leave the link of the video in question in the description box so you can watch it for yourself. Now, what happened on this video is a Zoom call between, I think, about 8 people, I think. Anyway, there was a Russian woman, and she said that her family immigrated to America, and the usual American dream, pulled themselves up by the bootstraps and formed a successful business. And as a result, they went off. Now, it's what the Russian woman said that kicked off the almost heated debate between the male and the female, the black man and the black woman, which I'll come to in a second. So the Russian woman said she can't understand how you got Americans who were born and raised in America, who had been given the same opportunities as her family and haven't taken advantage of those opportunities and done minimum wage jobs and haven't progressed and still living in relative poverty. So the black woman responded to that by saying, well, life is nuanced, and basically there's lots of layers and reasons for that, and it's not as straightforward as that. Some people have opportunities others don't have, and this, the other. So she didn't go too deep into it, but I understood what she was saying. Now, the black man, who is a millionaire, he said, now he started to debate with the black woman and said, well, especially with black people, he said, we have this victim Olympics where we want to use excuses and to justify our failures. And, his dad refused to go down that route, and, his dad instilled aspiration in him, and he's successful. So, he doesn't buy into the victim Olympics. And the black woman said, well, she wasn't justifying the victim Olympics. She was just saying there's different layers. And she was pointing out to the black guy that he comes from a point of privilege because not everyone has a dad to inspire inspiration and plant the seed of success in the person's mind to produce the results of a successful person. So she said that she agreed with what he says, but she's saying, well, she has a more nuanced. She doesn't have the point of view. What she was accusing a black guy of saying, she's saying, Anton, his name is. She's saying, well, Anton, you've got the attitude, just because I made it, everyone else can make it. Now, I could see what he was making. I could see the point he was making, and I could also see the point she was making. And for once, or for the very few times, I actually believe both of them was correct. Both of them were correct, but in different angles, they're correct. So I'll use myself as an example to emphasize why I believe that both are correct. All right. So my parents came over from the Caribbean, Grenada, in the 1950s, Windrush generation. Right. So I love my parents. However, even though I came from a very stable, good family, there were some minuses with it, unfortunately. So the minus is, unlike Anton, I had zero input of aspiration put into me, zero talk of any encouragement, nothing. I was told I never had a conversation, or I was never asked what I want to do for a living. There was no interest shown in my future prospects, anything. It was zero from either one of them, right? If there's anything that was said by my parents was, you'd only amount to a road sweeper and I'll watch you. I'm not going to tell you which one of my parents said it, but that was said. So if anything, I I was called a jackass. If anything, I've been spoken down to, and as a result, which I've mentioned in my audiobook, it left me as a teenage, or as a young boy, and through my teenage years, even as a young man, with low self-esteem and with a lack of confidence. And another thing I've got to add, I grew up in a very fear-based. Well, my parents, both of them, are very, very negative, extremely negative. They always see the cup as half full, and both of them are a fountain of fear. Negatives, every other vegan word that comes out their mouth is negative, fear. But anytime a situation, you can't, if you tell them about a situation, they will find a reason for why a situation is bad. They'll look for the thunder and lightning on a sunny day. Absolutely, they are. So I grew up as my foundation was fear and negativity. And it took me a long time to come out of that way of thinking. It took me a hell of a long time and a lot of effort to condition my mind to get rid of that cancer and that curse. Okay? Right? So, as a result, I think by the time I got to the process started from my late 20s, when I started to wake up the thought, hold a minute, you're contaminated with fear and negativity. By the time I got to, about 28, I started my own business. It didn't go anywhere, but I'm still glad I did it, because it taught me something. It taught me a lot. By the time I got to my late 30s, I became an entertainer, and alongside with my failed business experience, I realized that there is a world outside of the 9-to-5 world. Up until then, so my mind was just like 9-to-5, paycheck, and I was just locked in that poverty road of mentality, basically. And as a result, I've got adult daughter, 2 sons and 2 grandchildren. With my daughter and my sons, I instill aspiration into them. I talk words of encouragement. I have never, and I never will, say anything unpleasant to I've never called them, my children, any disparity of names. I've never run them down. I've never crushed their esteem. I will never do that, because I had that done to me, and I will never do that to my kids. So anything that comes from me, I'll talk to them about aspirations. I had a father-son chat with my youngest son. I said to him, look, you're in an ideal situation. You've got no children. You've got no responsibilities. You've got money coming in, because I give him regular pocket money. I said, use this opportunity in your life to make something of yourself. I said, I wish someone told me this when I was 15. I was told jack shit. Your grandparents told me nothing. I had to figure this all out for myself. Right? So, and both with my sons and my daughter, I'm there for them, and I teach them as what I can. I've learned in later years how to learn. That's another subject for another day. But I can learn about anything I could learn. There's nothing you can't teach me, right? Because I've figured out the principles of learning, and I've handed this down to my offspring, and my grandchildren will get the same. So that's the good. That's the positive side. So let's come back to Anton and Kay. So with Anton, I agree that you shouldn't hang on to the victim Olympics. However, what I would say to him on that respect is, be aware of people who do not have the privilege that you had. Like, you got a father that instilled aspiration into you. But if you are that sort of person, such as like myself, which Kay was talking about, the difference is I'm aware of my shortcomings, and I own, this is very important, I own my failures. I own it. I don't blame other people for my failures, even though my parents had a big hand to play in the way how I was formed and my mind was formed, but the responsibility still falls on me. It was still down to me to get what success I had, or receive the failures that I received. It's down to me. The buck stops with me. Okay, so I own my failures and I recognize. But at least if you recognize where you went wrong, you can fix it. That's the positive. If you know where you went wrong, at least you can fix it. And if you admit it to yourself, then you're on the road to fixing it, because you can't fix a problem if you don't recognize there's a problem to begin with. So that is my advice to anyone who's in my situation. Recognize your flaws, recognize your shortcomings, own it, and seek to fix it. Don't blame other people. Now, in terms of Kay, I see what she was saying. She agreed with Anton, but she was saying there are people like me out there who hasn't had aspiration, who hasn't had that kick up the butt as such. And there are people who are locked in a poverty mentality. And some people will never wake up from that poverty mentality. And another thing, which is my own spin now, even though I no longer have a poverty mentality, okay, I've made a little bit of money, but I'm still working on my projects. I've got a few projects in mind. I've published a book, and I still don't have a lot of money, but it's a work in progress. However, even though I no longer have the poverty mentality, I still recognize that, not everyone's going to win. You do your best, but not everyone's going to win the gold medal. Not every woman is going to get a higher value man. Not everyone's going to be the president of the United States. But I would still encourage people to do their best. I will still encourage people not to have a poverty mentality. I would encourage people not to hang on to negative and look for problems. Rather, find a way to look for solutions rather than focus on the problems. However, I am also living a real world that, not every business is going to succeed. Not everyone's going to win. And not everyone's going to come out of the poverty mentality. So, answer to the Russian woman, yes, good for her family, good for people who have the mindset, but there are only a certain amount of people who have that mindset, which transcends your race, your experience, and your background. There's only a certain amount of people who's got that drive to come out of the pits of sorrow to make something of themselves. That's just how it is. I'm not making excuses for everyone else, but just, not everyone's going to be the best athlete. I'm physically fitter than the average man. I can start a school to train people to be physically fit, but not everyone's going to be as fit as I am. It's just how the cookie crumbles. However, but it doesn't mean you don't have to try. I'm all about making the effort. I'd rather try and fail than give up without even trying. So that's my message for those who need this information. Try, at least try. Give it your best shot. At least try it. If you fail, then learn from that failure, but try. Don't be like my parents who are just fear, negative. And worst of all, do not pass that down to your kids. Do not undermine your children. Do not tell them horrible things. Do not tell them, oh, you will never amount to nothing. Oh my God, never tell your kids that. I had that told to me, as such. So that's my advice. That's why that video struck a very strong chord with me, because, I've been that person that Kay was talking about as such. So I hope this video is of help to those who need it. And that's all I can really say. So it's up to you. It's totally up to you whether you want to share this video. It's up to you whether you want to like it. It makes no difference to me. You know, I don't plan to make a YouTube career. I don't plan to make money out of YouTube. I really don't. My purpose on YouTube is just gives me a chance to speak my mind and say what I want to say. And for those who want to take it and what's the word? So I think too fast for my mouth. For those who could what's that? Hate that. Right, let me just slow down. Those that could benefit from it, that's who I make it for. Okay. I better put my teeth back in and learn to speak. Okay, folks. Right. Thank you very much. And I hope this has been of help. Thank you very much. Okay, bye.